Did Iowa get taken to the cleaners? That's a question we're going to discuss with Peter Fisher of the Iowa Policy Project regarding the Orascom scam. If you were outraged at $251 million in public money going to one Egyptian corporation, hold on to your seats, folks, because it's a lot worse than that.
Cast 1 live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
Open Sesame is Des Moines' premier Lebanese cafe. This month, Open Sesame is offering an unbeatable lunch special on Monday and Tuesdays. Mention the Fallon Forum when you order anything on Open Sesame's delicious lunch menu and get the second item for half price. That's right, buy one, get one for half price. Open Sesame's pita wraps, salads, soup, and mouth-watering Mid-Eastern specialties will have you and your dining partner coming back again and again. Open Sesame at 313 East Locust Street in Des Moines' historic East Village.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey folks, welcome to the Fallon Forum. Today we got Peter Fisher joining us all the way from Iowa City on the phone. Peter is with the Iowa Policy Project. A quick look ahead, we got a bunch of ground to cover today. I want to talk a little bit more about this dust-up with Boswell. Also want to talk about the U.S. Senate. The particular, I'm interested in what's happening in Massachusetts. That's a very, very close rate. Trader Joe's, interesting stuff going on there with salmonella. Also, we got to take a look at the Romney tax situation, and I'm going to give out a couple awards to the 47%ers of the day. Let's go right to our phone line. Is Peter with us? Hello, Peter. Nope, he's not with us yet. Something happened. We're going to try to get him. I will set the stage for you here, though, folks. Well, it's the title of Peter's blog on the Iowa Policy Project website is "Did Iowa Get Taken to the Cleaners?" And we've talked a bit about this. I frankly am shocked that there is not more concern about this. This is one company from Egypt, a huge company that wants to build a massive fertilizer plant in southeast Iowa. Well, for a long time, under both Democratic and Republican governors, Democratic and Republican legislatures, we have seen this propensity to dole out many tax dollars, much money, huge grants in some cases, to corporations. And back when I was in the House, we thought the $10 million to Wells Fargo was huge. And it was. And actually, when you added in the other tax breaks, that was about, that was a lot closer to $84 million, I think. We thought the $75 million to the IPSCO, the Canadian steel company named IPSCO, was huge. Well, the $251 million in various tax subsidies to, again, one Egyptian company. It's just astounding. It's just, and especially after Branstad argues against picking winners and losers, against government getting involved in the economy the way there's no other word for it other than raw hypocrisy. And I'm shocked that there aren't more people across the political spectrum outraged about this. And again, it's not just Branstad. I know former state representative Phil Weiss, a Democrat, is just beating the drum as loud as he can to say this is a great idea. I understand there are other Democrats in the legislature who are equally enthralled by this hypocrisy. So it's not just a Republican problem, and I don't know how far this is going to go, but interestingly, the same day that Orascom received the award, I think it was the same day, they also announced they were buying the Whites Corporation. That's I believe the largest, if not the largest, one of the largest construction firms here in Iowa. So you have suddenly this huge presence by an Egyptian company in Iowa. And folks, you can see the direction this is going. Okay, after NAFTA, and even before NAFTA, but accelerating after NAFTA, American jobs started fleeing overseas. Well, fleeing. They were taken overseas by the corporations that controlled them because they could get cheap labor. They could function under very poor working conditions, horrible environmental conditions. They had so many advantages because of the unwillingness and inability of those countries. I mean, in some cases, because of things done by the U.S. government as well. We were unable to compete. I mean, to have a decent paying job in this country, when you got a country paying kids to work 12 or 14-hour days, you can't compete with that. And you shouldn't have to compete with that, because that shouldn't be happening. It has been, and we've seen a tremendous amount of jobs flee this country. And I saw a little bit of that, not even just third world countries. Well, all right, Ireland was a third world country until fairly recently. And Ireland was a destination country for a lot of U.S. corporations as well. And again, they were handing out those tax breaks left and right in Ireland. And of course, when the agreement clause came to an end, when there was no longer any obligation to maintain that factory, those jobs, some of those corporations, many of them just stopped and moved to the next green pasture. And I think that's what we're starting to see happen here, folks. We are turning this country into a third world nation. Make no mistake about it. We are becoming the countries that we used to feel sorry for, that in better moments we used to dole out aid for. In weaker moments, in less morally upheld moments, we would invade, or we would sponsor CIA funded coups. We're becoming that country. We're becoming that country. The poor in this country is a growing demographic. The middle class is shrinking. The buying power of the average American is eroding. We see candidates like Mitt Romney, who not only, I understand, government has done a really good job at representing the interests of the 1%. But I'm not sure we've ever had a candidate this close to the presidency, this close to becoming president, who is the 1%. Okay, just got a message. We're trying to get a hold of Peter on Skype. And Maddie, I have a cell phone for him as well, if that might work. Nope, okay. I don't know what the technical issues are, folks. That's beyond my realm, but we're trying to get Peter on the phone here. So the reality is we're becoming that destination workplace where you can get, you can come in and be assured that you're not going to have your business, your profits tainted with the presence of a union. And we've seen that happen in the automobile industry. Car companies from other countries locating here without having to deal with labor unions, unlike the older, more established companies, GM, Chrysler, Ford, that have a strong union presence. It's you can see the writing on the wall. And, a Methodist minister friend of mine 20 years ago, a very prophetic comment, said that we had begun to witness the El Salvadorization of the Iowa countryside. And by that he meant the depletion of people in the rural economy and the consolidation of farm holdings in larger and larger, smaller and smaller numbers of individuals owning and operating them, but larger and larger operations. And another prophet, Tom Dorr, a prophet on the other direction, a prophet who's an apologist for corporate everything, said that he saw the future of Iowa farms, of Iowa agriculture, as being one farm per county. One farm per county. That guy, by the way, went on to be appointed by President George Bush to a very high-ranking position in the USDA. So, it is happening. Those chickens are coming home to roost. And this most recent flock got a $251 million subsidy. They happen to be from Egypt. They're located in southeast Iowa, and again, it's not just the 251 million. There's a lot more to it than that, involving, ironically, disaster funds that probably could have gone to a lot more noble purposes than to an Egyptian fertilizer company. When we get Peter on the phone, which I hope we will be able to do soon, we will continue that conversation because I have blathered enough and given you at least a background on the problem. There's more to talk about. I want to revisit the dust up with Boswell yesterday. I say what I feel I have to say. I say what I feel the truth is, and we go from there. Let the chips fall where they will. It's served me well over the years, and it's also gotten me in trouble on more than one occasion. So this time, it seems that someone with the Boswell campaign, Grant Woodward, I believe his name is, has said, was quoted in the Des Moines Register online edition yesterday as saying that they're planning to sue me over one thing I said. I mentioned that Boswell had offered me an $80,000 a year job if I should decide not to run against him. You know, I just kind of blew that off, but mentioned it. I mentioned it. It wasn't the main point of my commentary about his campaign. It was a side. It was one of several reasons why I think he should not be in Congress anymore, and why I think people should vote for. Well, I suggest voting for Frank County because we need a strong progressive to challenge Latham next time around, and I think he would be probably the best opportunity we have. Somebody who understands important issues, who has a track record of fighting for the interests of average people, and who has decent name recognition as well. So I'm going to write Frank County in, and Frank probably doesn't even approve of that. But sorry, Frank, I'm going to write you in. But my main point is that we're probably going to see a Latham victory in that seat. It's almost unless something changes. I know Democrats today released a poll saying it's tied, but okay, the key word there was Democrats released. A poll released by either party has no credibility. There's not. I don't even know why they bother. It's like a joke. I don't care if I'm sure the Republicans could release a poll saying, well, we show Latham ahead by 20 points. So give me a break. Let's go with the reliable numbers, and the reliable numbers make this look pretty strongly like a Latham victory. So given that, and given that it's really tough to take out Boswell in a primary, and again, people say, well, do you say there's no difference? Yeah. Oh, there's a difference. Yeah. Latham is a worse congressman than Boswell. But it's like the difference between two bad Republicans, all right? I'd rather have a difference that I could really see and feel and get excited about, a difference between, a Republican and a Democrat who really has shown and continues to show where they stand with the people, and that's not Boswell. So I don't mind sacrificing that seat because there's no way Democrats are going to gain control in the House. If there were a possibility, this would be a different conversation. They're not going to gain control in the House. Let us have a shot at Latham next time around in 2014 with no blue dog conservative Democrat incumbent in the way. And let's see what we can do with a strong populist candidate who I think can both resonate in rural Iowa. I mean, remember now, who used to represent Southwest Iowa? Tom Harkin. There's a populist. There's a progressive. So, I think this is a good strategy. I know everybody doesn't agree. Here's what bothers me, though. Two things bother me. That the Boswell people would suggest they're going to sue me. I mean, they didn't even suggest it. They said they are planning to sue me. I don't even understand how you can do that if you aren't planning to have people commit perjury in court. I mean, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. And the people who told me would have to lie to claim otherwise. So, I mean, if you want to do that, have at it. Bring it on. But I think it's a bad idea. I think you should be probably focusing on trying to beat Tom Latham and maybe come up with a good retirement plan for Boswell and his staff. The other thing that bothers me is that maybe you remember a couple of years ago, Jerry Crawford, the kingmaker in the Democratic Party here in Iowa, the guy who represents Monsanto in legal battles, who owns lots of expensive racehorses and raises a ton of money for the Democratic Party. He committed what is often considered a sin among party leaders or people who are prominent in the party. He endorsed Republican Bill Northey over Democrat Francis Dickey in the race for Iowa Secretary of Agriculture. Now, again, I understand why, because, Jerry, along with a lot of the other corporate, element of the Democratic Party, the controlling element of the Democratic Party, they don't like Francis Dickey's agricultural positions. They don't like his politics. So, yeah, they're going to support the guy who's more friendly to their way of thinking, the Republican. I understand that. But when a leader in the Democratic Party comes out and supports a Republican, it's like you would think that, oh, gosh, horrible. I mean, when I did that in 2000 for Nader, I still get chastised for that this very day. I was ousted from my committee chair, my ranking member position on the local government committee. I was ousted from the Polk County Central Committee. Boswell used all that against me in 2008. So what happens to Crawford when he does this in 2010? Nothing. I even called the party. What are you guys going to do to sanction Jerry Crawford when he's supporting a Republican over a Democrat? Well, we think that's between him and the. Come on. Talk about a double standard. It's about money. So, I'm not even a Democrat anymore. I'm a registered independent, and I still get a lot of flack because I'm encouraging people not to vote for Boswell. Clearly, the difference is here. The difference is this. If you are a person of money, then you can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can even if you're a kingmaker in the Democratic Party, you can ignore a Democratic candidate you don't like, come out publicly for a Republican, and not even get a slap on the wrist. But if you're me, it ain't going to happen. If you're me or another lowly person in the Democratic environment, or in my case, not even a Democrat anymore, you're going to get whipped a bit. Anyway, I'm used to that. It doesn't bother me. I hope that a lot of people will go to the polls and write in Frank County. And there's several reasons why that's good. Okay, you won't be wasting your vote on Boswell, who's almost certainly going to lose. You will be sending a message that we are dissatisfied with corporate Democrats, and that next time around we want to see a solid progressive. Maybe it's county, and if it is county, anything we do to help encourage him and his name recognition is helpful. So yeah, and if it's not him, even just the act of getting a whole bunch of people writing in somebody other than Boswell, somebody who is progressive, who could conceivably run a good campaign in 2014, that's good. It creates a buzz. It sets a dialogue in place, and it helps encourage people who might otherwise not seriously consider running. So, okay, that's that. I also want to talk about, again, I hope President Obama wins re-election. Again, I'm not thrilled at what he has accomplished and unhappy with some things he has done. But gosh, I mean, the contrast there. I mean, again, the contrast between, Boswell and Latham, there's some. But Romney and Obama, it's huge. And again, I'm not an Obama. I'm not like jumping up and down this time. I was enamored with the hope and change thing last time. It hasn't panned out, but still, he's done some good things. And he is not going to do the horrible things that Romney and Ryan will do. I mean, I cannot imagine America under a Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney budget. I mean, look at that budget. That is the most draconian piece of legislation I've ever seen. So, yeah, I'm excited to I'm hopeful to get Obama reelected, and I'm hoping, too, that in his second term, the gloves will come off and we'll see more of the guy we saw campaigning back in 2007 here in Iowa. So we'll see what happens. But the bottom line is, Obama is still going to have a divided Congress. Nothing we can do about that. Well, again, the worst case scenario is that the Senate goes Republican. And I do hope we can prevent that from happening. Again, the Senate has been occasionally a breath of fresh air, but at any rate, almost always a stark contrast with the radical House. And there's some races, like the race in Massachusetts, that, things are looking pretty good there for Elizabeth Warren. Again, too early to tell, but the latest poll has her gaining ground in her bid to unseat Senator Scott Brown. That's a Suffolk University and Channel 7 news poll released last week. It shows Warren leading 48 to 44% among likely voters. that's a change. There's another poll actually also released last week by Western New England University showing her leading 50 to 44%. So interesting. Now, the other interesting thing in Massachusetts is Mitt Romney. Now, that's a state where he was formerly the governor. Mitt Romney is trailing Obama 64 to 31% in Massachusetts. That is a whopping. Anyway, we're going to take a short break here. Hopefully, we'll have the technology thing figured out. And when we come back, we will be joined by Peter Fisher with the Iowa Policy Project, talking a little bit more about the Orascom situation because, gosh, folks, we need to be talking about that. We need to be making a stink about this one. This is huge. It's wrong. And it just further sends us in the direction of a third world country. I'm sorry. It is probably the worst economic development policy I've seen in Iowa since I have been involved. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks, on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
Times are tough, and most people are just trying to make their cars last a little bit longer. That's why you should know about Sargent's Garage in Des Moines. You can trust Sargent's to make the right diagnosis and give you a fair price. Whether it's a routine oil change or a major repair, Sargent's always does outstanding work. So don't give up on that old car just yet. Call Sargent's Garage at 246-8149. That's 246-8149 for Sargent's Garage.
Lucalin's Italian Grill in Ames offers one of Central Iowa's finest dining experiences. Lucalin's blends traditional Italian cuisine with American intuition, enticing hungry stomachs with a delectable spread of homemade pastas, steaks, and freshly flown-in seafood. Try the Cajun pasta, handmade lasagna, or any of Lucalin's traditional Italian dishes. So for a dining treat that's second to none, visit Lucalin's Italian Grill on Main Street in Ames.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
There is hope. Visit groundwire.net and chat now with a live coach for answers.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey folks, welcome back. I want to thank our bands, Baber's Neighbors, that's Baber's Neighbors right there. Earlier kicking out the show, Brother Trucker, and of course Pumptown from Ringgold County will kick off our third segment. I want to also thank Physicians for Social Responsibility, the Iowa chapter of PSR, and I want to thank the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club. I also want to thank all of our business sponsors, and I say that all the time. I mean it. I really appreciate the fact that local businesses believe in providing an alternative to the crazy stuff on commercial radio. And couldn't do it without you folks. And I really want to encourage people who believe in this alternative to support the businesses. Go dine at the restaurants that help support this program. Get your furnace checked this winter with Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling. You got a pet issue? Call Kim Holding at Story County Vet. Taxes to be done? Community CPA. Grocery shopping? Gateway Market. I am just so impressed with Gateway, and I hope that they can keep going. On the Gateway thing, where is it? There's ouch. Sucks to be Trader Joe's today, folks. There's a California company recalling 76 types of peanut butter and almond butter. I didn't know there were 76 types of peanut butter and almond butter, after one of its products was linked to a salmonella outbreak at Trader Joe's. Boy, it wasn't that long ago we had another peanut problem. Anyway, a new peanut problem. This one a Trader Joe's peanut problem. The company's called Sunland Inc., and it recalled the products under multiple brand names after the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and the Center for Disease Control linked 29 salmonella illnesses in 18 states to Trader Joe's creamy salted Valencia peanut butter. Trader Joe's creamy salted Valencia peanut butter. Sunland manufactures and packages the Trader Joe's product. So apparently this is a direct connection. This is one company that packages, 76 types of peanut butter? I don't know. For one company, Trader Joe's. Another reason, by the way, need I say, to buy local. So what else do I want to say about that? Again, there are so many reasons why you should buy local. But again, another one is that it helps support this sort of dialogue. Myself, Bradshaw, people you aren't going to find on commercial radio. And, internet radio, if we can call it that, it's the wrong word. Whatever we're doing, this internet stuff, it's gonna keep growing. And I'm glad for the people who see that and get in on the ground level and make a difference early on, because we have to keep growing, because the conversations you're getting on right-wing radio, which is pretty much all of radio, are not the conversations that are going to help solve the problems in this country. So again, thank you. And as individuals, if you want to make a difference as an individual or as an organization, go to my website, fallonforum.com. Click on support. You can find options there for making a donation, one time if you like. But what I really would encourage you to do is commit to a monthly donation. If you donate $30 a month, $30 a month will pay for one program in a year. So again, that's pretty sure. $360 to put on a program every day. That's not bad. All costs considered. So do that. Do $30 a month if you can through either Dwala or PayPal. And there's also a way to do that directly from bank to bank or credit union to credit union. So it makes a difference, and it is not only appreciated but essential if we're going to keep this going. Okay, so where to go from here? We're still trying to get a hold of Peter Fisher. I apologize for the technical problems. We've webcast one live. It's a studio here in the Skywalk, and we've had a pretty smooth situation with technology. But today it seems to be a little bit bumpy, so bear with us on that. Fortunately, there's a lot more to talk about. I mean, Mitt Romney. Yeah, I said it sucks to be Trader Joe's. It also sucks to be Mitt Romney. If this election is Obama's to lose, whether there are coattails or not, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big believer in the coattail thing. And back to the race in Massachusetts, when Romney is when Romney is being beaten by Obama is up 64 to 31% in the state where Romney was governor, and yet the Democratic candidate for Senate is leading by 48 or 50%. There's 14 to 16 point difference there. Yeah, there are some people who will go in. I can't remember the percentage. It's not that big. They'll check straight Democratic ticket. They'll check straight Republican ticket. Some will check straight ticket for Greens or Libertarians. It's not a lot of people, and there's the same number doing it probably roughly on both sides, Democrat and Republican. So in the end, most people are going to go in there and make some selective decisions about who they support. And again, here's a great example in Massachusetts. 64% are supporting Obama over their former governor, Romney, which I still just think is hilarious. And yet only 48 or 50% are supporting Elizabeth Warren. But at least that's moving in the right direction. So, Romney, again, I give him a spade and he'll just keep digging the hole deeper. Here's a little blurb from Ezra Klein in the on Bloomberg.com. He says, for my money, the worst of Mitt Romney's comments were these, quote, "My job is not to worry about those people." This is regarding the comments about the 47%, the freeloaders who expect food. And again, I don't think nobody would say that we expect a free lunch. We don't expect to be given food. We don't expect to be given a job, given a house, given health care. No. We expect to do our part to earn our keep, but to have a system in place that assures that if we work hard, it's all gonna fall into place, and we're gonna have those opportunities. I think. Excuse me a second. Okay. Ezra Klein writes, for my money, the worst of Mitt Romney's comments is, quote, "My job is not to worry about those people. I'll never convince them that they should take personal responsibility and care for their lives." He's not going to worry about 47% of us. Again, he's addressing a $50,000 plate dinner for some of the biggest wigs out there. So, that's probably what they want. He's probably speaking to his audience. I have no doubt that Mitt Romney really doesn't care. I really don't think he does. I do not think he cares. And I'm pretty sure that his audience didn't care either. So, here's a guy. Anyway, the 47% is, I want to introduce you to a couple of them later in the program, but I think we have our technical problems worked out here. And let's see if we can get Peter Fisher into the program. Hello, Peter. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. There you are, on Skype. All right. Hey, I'm sorry for the problems, but I hope you still have some time to talk with us a bit. Sure. I gave people a little bit of a background about the $251 million for the Egyptian company Orascom, but you said there's an element of this conversation that is not even being looked at very much, that is really even much more serious. Tell us about that.
Well, the thing that I got interested in was the tax-exempt bonds, because these are actually an allocation of flood recovery bonds that Midwestern states got from the federal government, giving them the authority to provide federally tax-exempt bonds to private businesses who are doing projects in areas that were affected by the 2008 flood.
So this goes all the way back to 2008? And these are bonds that are issued, that are delivered through FEMA or some other?
No, they're issued by the Iowa Finance Authority, and we were given so many billions of dollars of debt that we could issue on behalf of private companies. And the Iowa Finance Authority in April awarded $1.2 billion of our allocation, almost half of it, to Orascom.
So, and why was that? Who basically made that decision? I mean, let's name names. Who on the Iowa Finance Authority made that decision?
Well, I don't know if it was the Iowa Finance Authority. Ultimately, they made the decision. I don't know the chain of command there or how the governor's office got involved, but it was certainly part of the effort to recruit Orascom was to offer them tax-exempt financing because it's cheaper. They pay a lower interest rate on these tax-exempt bonds.
So, again, the flood was in 2008, and the bonds were issued in what year again?
Well, the The bonds haven't been issued yet. They need to be issued by the end of this year.
Okay, so why weren't they issued during the Culver administration when the flood actually occurred?
Well, they're for redevelopment projects, and a lot of those are just getting underway. It doesn't have to have a direct connection to the flood. It just has to be any development project in a county that was declared a disaster area because of the 2008 flood.
Okay, so originally the money comes from the federal government, correct?
The tax-exempt status comes from the federal government. The company has to issue the bonds. They have to repay them. But it's just like we're allowed to stamp tax-exempt on those corporate bonds up to the amount of $1.2 billion.
So that's revenue that doesn't come out of the Iowa's treasury. It comes out of the federal till.
Right. This is a savings to the company in interest at the expense of federal taxpayers.
But the other thing is that these bonds could have been issued, for example, to help homeowners along the river who had their homes washed away, or to businesses that might have been affected by flood-related issues, right?
Well, there still is. Yeah, they haven't used up all the bonding authority. I'm not sure that that's the issue. I don't know that there was a clamoring to use this tax-exempt bonding authority, but I guess the point I was trying to make is that we could offer those in the Iowa locations that Erasmus was considering. The competing counties in Illinois were not eligible because they weren't disaster areas from the 2008 flood.
Okay. So you're saying that we already had a competitive advantage over Illinois when it came to Orascom's decision as to where to locate.
Yeah, exactly. We were starting out with $150 to $300 million incentive that we could offer at federal expense that Illinois could not offer.
Am I right, too, that the Illinois legislature hadn't even approved any specific appropriation for this?
Well, a bill had passed the Senate to change a feature of the Illinois income tax, corporate income tax. Hadn't passed the House. The legislature was adjourned. So there really was no Illinois offer on the table that we were competing with.
Okay. So, I mean, here's the question is, I guess, if we had already committed so much to one company, why did Branstad need to go ahead with another $251 million?
Yeah, that is the question. Did we really need to basically double the incentive we were already able to give them that Illinois wasn't? And
are those Egyptians just better negotiators than Branstad? They probably know how to haggle. From maybe you've been to the Mideast. Haggling is a way of life there. Maybe they haggled and Branstad couldn't rise to the challenge. I don't know. It just seems like, it seems like we got taken. I think that's the word you used.
It doesn't seem like we were very smart negotiators in this case, no. That's an astounding amount of money on a per-job basis. I mean, the Iowa incentives, including the local property tax breaks, around a $1.5 million per job.
Okay, and then you throw in these tax-exempt bonds, and you're looking at, what, twice that? $3 million per job?
About twice that in terms of the incentive value per job. That's not what it's costing Iowa taxpayers, but that's it's incredible to me that this is happening.
I've always been astounded that state government has done such a horrible job at doling out so much to so few. And this just takes it to a whole new level. And I imagine now that this has raised the standard and that we will see more of this coming our way.
Well, I would hope not. I mean, it certainly raised the ante. A typical package of incentives might be more in the $60,000 to $80,000 per job range. So 1.5 million is a whole nother sort of that package altogether.
No, do you have any thoughts on? I have some concern about the manner in which this deal was negotiated. The structure of the Iowa Department of Economic Development has changed. It's basically now almost a private, public, nonprofit type creature, if I understand it correctly, and I might be off a little bit on that, but it's not the same as it was. And this deal was basically negotiated in private and then announced. There was no public forums. There was no opportunities for people to come and discuss the proposal. Or did I miss something?
I don't think you missed anything, and I think those are the concerns that we expressed when they were talking about reorganizing the Department of Economic Development. The primary issue is transparency, and do taxpayers have a right to know how their money is being spent? And it's certainly, you certainly feel much like there's a much better chance that that's going to happen with a governmental agency than with this quasi-private entity that we've created.
But is even a quasi-private entity such as this monster, is it still illegal? Is it legal for them to use taxpayer money? I mean, money that's from us. They're still able. They just, because of the structure, they're able to hide that and do what they want, and then just tell us after the fact that it's been decided.
Well, the legislature granted the authority for tax credits. I mean, the legislature did play a role here. They've said, the high quality jobs program is on the books, and they're just implementing it. I think you have to go to the law here and what it encourages and enables.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me this is not just a Republican problem. I mean, Branstad has kind of been the focal point, but I understand there are plenty of Democrats in office and former Democrats like former legislators like Phil Wise, who are saying this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I suspect we're going to see more of this. I suspect this is just the beginning.
Oh, I don't know if it's the beginning, but
beginning at this level, at this new up, okay. This up in the ante. Hey, let me ask you, Peter, before we got to go. You're actually in the front page of the Des Moines Register today. Don't know if you get that out in Eastern Iowa. Used to be a statewide paper. Now it's Golden Circle and shrinking. But you are quoted in the paper regarding the article on Branstad's. They spent about $125,000 to look at how to save money by overhauling state employee benefits, and they determined that they could actually save $116 million if they structured the benefit situation for state employees more like other states. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's hard to make comparisons. They also try to compare us with private businesses, and our point is you really can't do that. You need to look at the particular set of employees, the education and skill levels they have in Iowa. What would people with similar skills earn in the private sector? When we did that study a year or so ago, we found that, yes, benefits were a little better in state government than in the private sector, but not enough to offset the wages, which were substantially lower. So the point is that these benefits that the governor wants basically to cut, what he's asking for is a cut in employee compensation. The state has negotiated packages of pay and benefits over the years, and workers have accepted lower wages in return for not having to contribute to health insurance.
Is this kind of Terry Branstad's way of trying to pull a Scott Walker over on state workers?
Well, I think it's viewed as a convenient way to try to cut into the compensation of public workers, because that's really what it amounts to. It's not a cost-effective way of doing it, because if you're going into negotiations and saying, well, we're going to demand 20% contribution from employees, you would expect them to say, fine, then we would expect higher wages. And it's more expensive for the state to provide a given dollar of income to public employees through wages than it is through health benefits, because the health benefits come out of pre-tax income.
Yeah. And maybe this isn't a fair question, Peter, but I mean, if Branstad could go further, if he could go as far as Scott Walker did in Wisconsin, do you think he would?
I don't know, Ed.
I said it wasn't a
question
fair.
For you.
I said it wasn't a fair question. Anyway, I'll answer my own question. I suspect he would. I think there is absolutely no love between Terry Branstad and the union that represents the huge number of people that work in state and local government. Peter, any final comments you want to make before we go to a break?
Don't think so.
Okay, folks, if you want to learn more about the work of the Iowa Policy Project in general, and in particular the comments and observations on the Orascom project, you can go to, help me out here, Peter, I believe it's iowapolicyproject.com?
.org.
iowapolicyproject.com. Hey,
we
thanks.
.org. We are a nonprofit organization, Ed.
Yes.
There it goes.
Yeah, and I do know that you occasionally you find allegiance with the Republicans on issues, and you occasionally have positions that don't resonate well with either party, and that's commendable.
That's true.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for joining us again. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks, on the Fallon Forum.
All right. So on.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
Hi, folks. Ed Fallon here. When it is time to entertain, think of Gateway Market. Let them handle the details. Gateway offers a wide variety of stress-free options like cut-to-order cheese and charcuterie. There's a delicious olive bar and a wide variety of chef-prepared dips and spreads. Or let the catering team take care of the entire event, right down to the wine and beer pairings. The expert floral designers can even customize the perfect centerpieces. So stop by or visit Gateway Market for more information. Gateway is at Woodland and ML King in downtown Des Moines. Good food, great entertaining.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines. And check out ritualcafe.com.
With warm weather finally here, it's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
Wow, some wedding.
Yeah, I've never seen a bride in coveralls.
Right, and skipping down the aisle to accordion music.
Not to mention the reception. That wedding cake was a freaking fruit cake.
It's your wedding. Don't leave anything to chance. Diana's Wedding Cakes. Using only the finest, freshest ingredients with free on-time delivery and setup. Choose one of Diana's custom designs or create your own. Call Diana's Wedding Cakes, 641-275-9279. That's 641-275-9279.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back, folks. Glad to have the technology fixed. Thank you, Matty Arrington and Dan Fry, for pulling all that together. And looking forward to giving you the phone number now if you want to call. It's 244-0077, 244-0077. I do want to introduce you before we leave to a couple of the folks who fit the schleps in the 47% that Mitt Romney despises. But before we do that, let's go to our phone. This looks like Dave Funk. Is this Dave Funk?
Hey,
hello.
How are you today? It is me.
Dave Funk. The only thing you and I have in common, Dave, is that we both tried to unseat Leonard Boswell.
That's right. Well, and we both had that mutual friend years ago of all people, of Paul Wellstone. And you probably remember the first time you and I ever sat down together and talked on your previous show.
Yeah, I do.
We talked about how I compare you to Paul, not just from a policy standpoint, but the fact that you're an honest guy. And I'm actually kind of aghast that Leonard would call your integrity into question here regarding some accusations that you made in the email. I'm on your email list. I get it every week. I love to read it. Have you been talking about this privately for some time that Leonard tried to...
I've mentioned it. It really bothered me when he approached me about, on two different occasions, people close with the campaign approached me about the $80,000 a year job with the congressional staff if you don't run. And I just kind of, I just don't work that way. So I kind of laughed it off, but didn't talk about it much. But, I've mentioned it to people over the years once in a while. But I mentioned it this week in the context of the main point of my email was saying I'd like to see a more progressive Democrat representing us in Congress. And I think the way to do that is not to try to unseat Boswell, but to try to have a clear distinction in a campaign against Latham, who I think is going to win anyhow. Yeah, we probably disagree on that goal.
Yeah, and like I said, you and I, we could sit down and have beers and laugh and talk about football and accordions and everything else, but we probably wouldn't agree on policy stuff. The one thing in your reputation, and my wife is a big fan of yours, is one of the things in your reputation is your integrity has never been called into question. Would you do an affidavit today, do a sworn statement that said this is what Leonard's offered me?
I don't see any need to do that.
Well, I'm just thinking they're threatening to sue you anyway. It's like might as well be prepared if necessary.
I'm hoping they have the good sense to just drop that. Again, I'd like to see Boswell retired. I'd hoped he would have retired. If not in 2008, then in 2010. I mean, the guy said he was only going to serve 3 terms, and that was back in, 96?
Yeah.
Well, what's this, his 16th year? I mean, exactly. Just talk about not following through on your commitments.
And not being a real leader in Congress.
No, not at all. I mean, and I don't think Latham has been either. But
because of him, let's go. I know you're not going to agree with Tom, but the fact is, Leonard, we can't point to anything that he's really done for us here in the 3rd Congressional District.
Well, we have a new zip code in Windsor Heights and a building named after Neil Smith. Yeah, so maybe would you consider running in Frank County as well?
Oh, I always keep my options open. Let's see what happens going forward in the future.
Yeah, all right.
I think it'd be a lot of fun to run against Frank because, like you and I, although we get along just fine, and there's a lot of respect there, we're not going to agree on policy.
Well, we will.
Policy is really what people want to vote on.
But the truth is, you and I have never served together. We have, political interest in common. But I've served with people who are very similar to you in viewpoint, and even folks like Chuck Hurley, Dan Boddicker, people who are way out there on the right. we would find issues in common, and we would work on those. And I would respect I respect that relationship when you can find something, despite having differences elsewhere, you can still work on something of common interest. Heck, I even found something to work with Steve King on when he and I served together.
Right.
So that can happen. But I am. And there's probably things that I have in common with Leonard Boswell and maybe a few with Tom Latham. But I think Iowa can do better, and I think the way to do it is to. Ideally, well, yeah, but no, I'm not going to push this.
Don't vote for Leonard, right?
Well, but I'm not going to push this thing with the $80,000 job. If Boswell's people want to push that, I say bring it on. I mean, people are going to have to lie in court. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to perjure themselves.
Yeah, that's a big difference between doing that and just making a wild political statement. Let's face it. Once you're under oath and discovery is an issue. Let's see how far they're willing to go. And frankly, I don't think they're willing to take you on. And by reputation, guys like Chuck Hurley speak very highly of you. Don't agree on policy, but love you to death. because you're an honest guy. And I always laughed about the fact that and Paul Wellstone told me this a couple times over dinner, one of his favorite people in the Senate was Jesse Helms. The two of them never agreed on anything, but everybody knew exactly where the two guys stood.
I think Wellstone also got along pretty well with Chuck Grassley.
Yeah, he actually did.
Yeah.
From what Chuck has told me and from what Paul told my wife and I when we lived in Minnesota. He's a nice guy and was honest, and I'd say the exact same thing about you. Like I said, we won't agree on much policy-wise, but we could work on things together that we did agree on, unlike some of the folks that we have today that won't even talk to anybody. And it's
this is
guilty
true.
on both parties. They won't even talk to somebody in the opposition. It's the old joke when I went to the NRCC's candidate school a few years ago, and a young staffer, a congressman is telling the story of a young staffer says, "Sir, how can you work with those Democrats?" And he laughed in the Congress. He said, "Son, they're the opposition." He said, "Over in the Senate, now that's the enemy." I thought,
the enemy.
What a great way to describe it.
Now, Dave, you and I would probably agree, I would think we might agree, on the foolishness of the state giving $251 million to one Egyptian fertilizer company.
I always have concerns with any government entity picking winners and losers.
See, we found common ground in just the first 5 minutes of conversation.
Absolutely. It's not the role of it's the role of the government to be the referee, as Ronald Reagan used to say, not to be the one that chooses.
Right, and
kind of like in the NFL last.
And the referee is that's the set of regulations, ideally minimal regulations that make sure things are going to happen fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When I say referee, I mean making sure that everybody's playing. I won't say a level playing field, but playing fairly. That
exactly.
Nobody gets an advantage based on a political contribution.
Well, Dave, I've got to run, but I'd love to have you on this program sometime, catch up with you and see what you're working on and tangle a little bit on some of the issues we disagree on. That's always more fun.
I'll be in touch. It's always fun reading your emails.
All
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Talk to you
Dave.
soon, Ed.
All right, bye-bye. Folks, if you want to look ahead here for a second, tomorrow I've got an interesting program for you. Arnie Arneson is going to be on. I love Arnie to death. She's we have very similar backgrounds. She was in the state legislature in New Hampshire, ran for governor, did very well, better than I did. I think she made it to the general, and ran for the U.S. House. And now she's the talk show host, among other things. She'll be joining us. We'll be talking a bit more about the national political scene. By the way, Arnie on this program picked. She correctly called that Mitt Romney would pick Paul Ryan as his running mate. And a few days later, it happened. So you decide, is Arnie clairvoyant or just smart? Also tomorrow, joining me is Ben Aliff. Ben is, and again, Maddie, we're going to see if we can make this work. This will be our first international phone call guest. I hope we can make that work. He's in Great Britain. He's with Greenpeace International. We're going to talk about the work of Greenpeace. They've been in the news a bit lately for some issues. If Greenpeace is in the news, it's almost always because of something a little controversial and edgy. But they're doing important work, and we'll have a conversation with Ben tomorrow as well as Arnie. I do want to take a second to congratulate today's 47%er. This is a guy in the that 47% of the population that Mitt Romney thinks just want free lunches and handouts. It's a sad story. Chris Milner was featured in a story in the Des Moines Register this past week. He's from Seymour, Iowa, and he had a heart attack that he's 45 years old, forced him to quit work as an over-the-road trucker, and his economic situation has continued to deteriorate, so much so that he had to stop taking much of the medication he needs to live simply because he can't afford it. Yeah, how's that for a freeloader, Mitt? People like this, you really feel for them. Yeah, they're doing everything they can. That you got to know if you've been paying. Driving a truck over the road is a hard way to earn a living. Somebody's got to do it, and at what point do you say, okay, you've done your part, you've helped, you've made a difference, you've contributed to society. We've got a little payback to do here, and maybe it's Social Security, maybe it's Medicare, maybe in this case it's disability, maybe just some help with the dang medications. Come on, the guy's got a wife and 2 kids. Anyway. Congratulations, Chris, on being the 47%er of the day. We'll continue to recognize those schleps in the 47% of the population that Mitt Romney despises. I want to thank everyone for all the businesses that support this program, including Tim Reynolds with Reynolds Energy Solutions. Get your energy audit done before it gets cold. Energy audits can be set up through Tim at ReynoldsEnergySolutions.com. And Host for lunch. Come on. Host at 13th and Locust, a new joint and a wonderful place with great options. 13th and Locust, Host. They're open from 11 to 2 every day for lunch. Check them out, folks. And stay tuned because Bad Bradshaw will be back with you at 1:30. Take a break, grab a sandwich, and come back and see what the guy has to say today. Take care.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home.